that he signed 3 years contract with Manchester United. Probably I'm not going to be too much long in Manchester United. Yes, I feel betrayed, and I felt that some people that don't want me here, not only this year, but last year too.
In mid-November of 2022, Cristiano Ronaldo did a viral interview with Piers Morgan, where he discussed how bad Manchester United's work culture and management of the club had been for the past few years. And a few days after that interview, he was sacked by the club before leaving for Nassr. And then right after that, Manchester United was up on sale, and they experienced the biggest loss in history. With these results, it wasn't long until everyone began asking about the state of the club. Like, what's going on? What happened to the legendary club that had been winning consecutively decades ago? Even when they had the best football player in the entire world in their team, they still weren't able to get back on track the way they used to. And before Ronaldo's viral interview, Gary Neville appeared in a podcast where he discussed where the club may have gone wrong.
I think it comes down to a lack of leadership and direction from the top and vision, and a deterioration of the sort of beliefs over a long period of time.
Two people who were from that club told the entire world that Manchester United in 2022 was suffering from a bad work culture. Now, there's a difference between bad work culture and toxic work culture. A toxic culture is harmful to the well-being and morale of the employees. It may involve bullying, harassment, or other forms of mistreatment that render employees unable to communicate with each other positively, resulting in a negative and unhealthy work environment. A great example of this is Elizabeth Holmes, where she created a work culture so toxic that all her products were fraud, that it became her own undoing. On the other hand, a bad work culture involves unproductive, poor management internally and externally, and sometimes may not align with the values or goals of its employees, to the point that the company isn't making any progress at all. These are signs of a bad work culture, where everyone doesn't grow or make any progress in the company or as a person. And this was what Cristiano experienced at Manchester United after rejoining the club. He had joined many clubs over the past years of his career, and when they parted ways, they all seemed to part on good terms, and he seemed to be enjoying and growing alongside the clubs throughout his career there, but not with the current Manchester United. Now, it's hard to tell if one's workplace is really bad just by hearing from one or two people's opinions alone, because a decline in victories in companies or even in clubs, in this case, could come from other reasons such as finances. However, in 2023, it was reported that the club hired Erik ten Hag to fix the broken work culture of Manchester United. So it's safe to say that before he arrived, the club was in serious trouble in their culture, and that was the undoing of the club. In order to understand why this is a serious issue, we're going to explore Ronaldo's take on Manchester United's work culture and why this is a severe issue for any kind of business to thrive. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
It was little things like even the swimming pool that the players use, the saunas, all these facilities. Nothing had changed since you'd left in 2009.
Nothing changed.
The place you work has an impact on your productivity. If you compare traditional and modern offices today, we can agree that today's offices have better designs because they have a better impact on workers' productivity. Plus, your results will be better if the room you are in helps you focus to complete your duties. It's also one of the reasons why a lot of cafes become an alternate place to meet other than offices, right? It's because those kind of places give a better ambience for people to work at. Overall, that is one of the purposes of an office, a place where it promotes and encourages you to finish your work with the best possible result. Same with football. To sharpen player skills, the team needs a suitable workplace to practice. The field and the stadium must promote growth for the players to improve. The problem was, Ronaldo said that the Old Trafford that Manchester United practiced at had no improvements since he left the team. I am not certain in what aspects it's not getting any improvements for the players aside from the place being filled with rats and there being leaks, but it was reported that fans find the stadium to be somewhat decaying at the moment. And Ronaldo said it hasn't changed since he left the club all those years ago. This was probably the first surprise that Ronaldo had about the club, as he said that it did not help with his progress or improvements.
In United, the progress was zero, in my opinion.
That is a sign that a business is likely to doom itself, because when the environment won't grow, so will its players and their motivation.
Right now, it's a very different environment after many years of failure since Sir Alex retired. United weren't getting the top players. See, I just find that incredible. That if I was a young footballer and I had Cristiano Ronaldo at my club, I wouldn't want to spend every second watching him, listening to him, observing the way you go about your business. And yet, from what you're saying, clearly they're not interested.
In every career you have, no matter which position you are in, everyone must grow. There is no other way around it. We all must learn something new. Just like Cristiano Ronaldo, he learned a lot to get to the top, even if he's the world's best football player. And Sir Alex Ferguson made sure to help him to get to where he is today. However, in the current state of Manchester United, as the making of this video, he stated that because of the lack of change in the facility, there's little room for him to grow since Alex Ferguson's retirement. If that's true, then I doubt the other players had room to sharpen their skills too. This lack of investment in infrastructures has had negative impacts on the development of young players as a result. Their access to training was very limited if things hadn't changed since 2009. And this has led to decrease in motivation within the team. None of them was interested to learn from the best players in the world, and that is quite alarming because if they don't want to learn to be better, how can the club expect to win?
Going out on top as manager of the champions.
Ronaldo said none of them wants to learn from him, and if that's true, then I can hardly imagine if they'd even listen to their coaches, and ultimately, they wouldn't want to grow or improve to win.
And yet, from what you're saying, clearly they're not interested.
They don't care. Some ones yes, but most of them no.
And that can be a big problem for their own career. Without proper facilities, it is difficult for players to reach their full potential, obtain victories, or even to keep playing for the club. And all of these effects from the impacts have been happening in Manchester United for the past few years. Thus, they have lost out on a number of world-class players to the clubs with better facilities. So, when you're hoping to obtain new employees and hope that they'll stay with you for a longer time, make sure your environment give them new challenges or something new for them to sharpen their skills. It's why these days there are companies who create job rotation programs so that their employees won't get bored in their own job or they'll feel challenged. But that's not what it seems to be happening in Manchester United.
4 defeats from their opening 7 Premier League games for Manchester United.
And with no signs of growth, this could also mean that when Cristiano Ronaldo was trying to help the club that he grew up in, they dismissed him and did not heed his words, another dangerous trait to a company, not listening to their own team.
Some ones yes, but most of them no. I was very disappointing for the communicator of Manchester United, to be honest. I never had a problem with any club, with any coach, in my opinion.
Do you ever talk to them, the Glazers?
Never.
Never?
Never.
Not since you've gone back?
No.
This trait is one of the most dangerous traits if tolerated in every aspect. It may look like a simple problem, but it's quite big if it's ignored for too long. And that is a lack of communication. When communication is bad, the team could fall apart as well, and ultimately, the company. Oftentimes, lack of communication slows down the team or even any work in the end because to a lack of information. People don't understand what they're supposed to do. Sony was one of the victims of this trait that made them fall behind in nearly every market in the early 2010s. Games, cameras, phones, you name it. It was reported that it was due to poor corporate governance. Today, their names are a little drowned by other brands, though the company still exists. So long as the company hasn't bankrupt, there's probably still hope for them to change. But at the moment, it's still behind other companies. And we're already seeing a similar situation in Manchester United. Based on reports and results, Ronaldo mentioned that the big bosses and even the coaches were not willing to listen or communicate with him. And this is a big mistake if a leader or boss doesn't want to listen to their employees, because it is one of the traits of poor management. If they're not willing to talk to the most talented football player in their club, what makes them want to talk or listen to other players? They're dooming themselves for any chances of improvement. Forbes mentioned that listening is one of the most important skills in an organization. It is said that leaders who carry a style of strongly in interpersonal skills such as listening are rated as significantly more effective than those who prefer dictating their orders. As a result, the best employee of the club did not feel safe playing at Manchester United. That is where the club have dug their own graves, leading to a similar problem Sony has or had before: lack of teamwork.
It's been absolutely.
I spoke with the directive and the president of Manchester United, and then kind of that didn't believe that something going wrong, which is make me feel bad.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't believe you.
And it's something that really hurt me because they doubt of my words.
In every business culture, if employees don't feel safe to work in the company, they will resign in a heartbeat once they find another place to work. Side note though, to be fair to the companies, back then, they were in survival mode, so they had to make a decision. But even in that stressful year, where people were getting laid off left and right, people were still resigning anyways. Deloitte found that back when the Great Resignation was a thing in 2020, one of the reasons why staff would leave a company was because they lacked support from their employers, as they claimed that their well-being was not supported. As a result, their stress level increased to the point that they couldn't deal with it anymore, and they resigned. Even leaders can reach a certain limit if they feel that they have no support at all. When this happens, the lack of support for each other can also turn into a lack of empathy for each other, which is another trait that one must never ignore. And that was what Ronaldo experienced in Manchester United. The team lacked support for each other. Ronaldo said that there was a time when his daughter was hospitalized and he couldn't participate in his preseason. Now, the logical thing for a company to do is to allow an employee who has a sick family tend to them and then let their teammates know about this situation, and their colleagues would cover for them. But in Ronaldo's case, he wasn't given any sort of that support. Instead, they doubted his words that his daughter was sick and did not help him clear his name when the press made random statements on why he did not appear for the preseasons, which to him, most were talking bad about him. And that is the tipping of the relationship between boss and employees, because he didn't feel safe to work with Manchester United.
I'm not hiding that the empathy with the coach is not good. I'm honest.
You don't have a good relationship with him.
I'm not mean good relationship. The empathy is not good.
Even worse, he was benched during a match against Manchester City, which defeats the whole purpose of going to the match to assist the other players and win for everyone. By doing this, the coach is disrespecting the player. And when one is disrespected, they can feel it, and the loyalty between leader and team would begin to crack. Now, if they would do this to one of the best players in the world like Cristiano Ronaldo, imagine what the company must have done to the other players. And even Gary Neville can see through it.
If they were sat here now with me and you'd be thinking, there's an element of vulnerability there. There is a lack of confidence. They're crying out for help.
By doubting your own team, you're a step ahead of dooming them and the company itself. From all these traits discussed, these traits were enough to be one company's undoing that can lead to a serious downfall. And unless the bosses are willing to make a change to its work culture.
Now we need to get back to that for the fans, for the players, for the coaching staff, for the manager, because at the moment, there's no stability.
Manchester United may not yet find its way back to its former glory, and it will continue to decline until their work culture can change.
But for me, it's the right time for somebody else to take over.
Improve a lot. Let's say this last 5-6 months, I think the team improved so much. Even the league, all the teams improve, and my team as well. I think the league is very good, but I think we have many opportunities to still grow. I'm happy here. I want to continue here. I will continue here. And in my opinion, if they continue to do it, the work that they want to do it for the next 5 years, I think the Saudi League can be in the 5th.
Cristiano Ronaldo's journey in Manchester United shows us that talent alone is not enough to ensure success and fulfillment in one's career. His relentless commitment to self-improvement, discipline, and dedication made him one of the greatest footballers of all time. However, it is clear that even the most exceptional employees can be negatively affected by an unsupportive work culture.
Are the players underperforming?
I think with the new coach, because I think he's in a different situation. And then above him, there is a gap where he doesn't get the help to manage the team.
Today, as the making of this video, Cristiano Ronaldo seems to be doing better with his new team, and Manchester United is still up for sale whilst also trying to rebuild their work culture. But their case reminds us that when we prioritize the well-being and development of our employees, we not only unlock their full potential to be the best, but also create a more sustainable and fulfilling work culture for everyone involved. And I hope that from this case, more and more people will be aware of how important work culture is for a company and for any team, no matter how famous or big they are.